Hello everybody, Dr. Shadi Ireifej here, board certified surgeon and chief of specialty at TrueCare for pets, part owner of 24/7 emergency and specialty hospital located in Studio City, Los Angeles. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got Jay and Lindsay here, my two surgery technicians.
Hi. Hi.
And so we're going to talk today about a topic that seems to be bothering a lot of folks out there, especially in areas like LA where you see many pet owners running around with their dogs or bringing their dogs outside or traveling with their dogs in their car, going hiking with their pets, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to go over some things we've noticed outside between pet owners and their dogs that maybe seems a little inappropriate. Maybe either from a ethical standpoint or medical standpoint. These are things you probably should reconsider or do differently with your dogs. And so we'll go through kind of some examples of what we see that tends to annoy us, that's inappropriate, and we'll talk about kind of the significance of that from either from a social standpoint or an ethical standpoint or a veterinary medical standpoint, what have you. So what are some things you guys have seen that people do outside with their dogs that just really, really annoys you?
Something that annoys me a lot is that I have a very large dog, and people with smaller dogs want me to yield to them. When they can just pick up their 5-pound dog and easily walk around me, where I'm yanking my dog to the side, trying to get her to sit, behave, not take interest. Mm-hmm. So...
Why do you think they do that?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. And we see, as an emergency hospital and as a surgeon, we see a lot of dog bites here. Either own dogs that just run up to your dog while you're walking them and attack your dog, or a stray dog just comes by and then there's a fight. And I tell you, it's obviously the fight is a little more fair when you have two dogs of similar size. But if you've ever seen a tiny dog get mauled by a large dog, it's sad. It's not good, and it can be rapidly lethal for those dogs. So we definitely recommend that you keep your dogs on a leash, obviously, but in this scenario that Jay's talking about, be considerate. Your Yorkie, despite how brave your Yorkie thinks he or she is, going up against a Rottweiler or a pit bull, there's no chance. And just don't be lazy. Pick up your small dog and then walk around Jay and her large dog.
Yes, please. Especially when they have the leashes that, what are those called?
Retractable.
The retractable leashes.
Yeah.
And they're just letting their dog kind of mosey on around, where I have my dog by the collar. And, your dog may be friendly, but mine is very unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite is, why are you holding her back like that? I'm like, do you want to find out?
Yes.
I'm happy to let go. I've been asked that on multiple occasions with my pit bull. I make her sit and I'll stand in front of her when little dogs walk by, because she thinks they're chew toys that, if you bite hard enough, they squeak. Yeah. And I've been asked by people, why are you holding her back? And it's like, it's probably for a reason.
Right.
You probably should just walk faster.
Or that's another thing with my dog, is that I'll be holding her just for manners. We sit still even when someone's walking by and they don't have a dog and they want to approach us and they go for her face, and I'm like, Mom, don't do that. You don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should ask.
Always ask.
Yeah. Can I pet your dog?
So a couple of important points there. First, keep your dogs on a tight leash, no matter how dog-friendly or people-friendly they may be, because you never know. You never know. You don't know what your dog is thinking. You don't know what mood they're in. You don't know how they're going to interact with some stranger new dog in the neighborhood. So keep your dogs on a tight leash, have control over them, and then slowly see how the two adjust. As long as both pet owners are like, yeah, let's see what our dogs do together, then slowly give them a little bit more leeway on the leash, let them smell each other, get to know each other, and just kind of be conscientious, be cautious of how they're going to interact with each other. Don't let them just run around with a loose spaghetti arm leash. Keep them under control. And if you're going to interact with someone else's dog, which obviously you've never met before, and so you don't know how the dog is normally and how they are in front of strangers, then approach with caution. And so what we typically will do in veterinary field, at least, is we'll reach our hand out to their nose and keep your fingers pointing downwards, have your hand in a fist, and have them smell like the top of your hand. And that way you're not giving them an appendage that they can latch onto if they attack you. And also it allows you to quickly retract and not retract while your finger's in their mouth and causing more harm to your finger. So have your hand in a fist with your palm of your hand pointed downwards and have them smell the top of your knuckles or top of your hand. And at least let's see what they do. They'll smell. And you can just base on how friendly they are whether or not you should pet their head. Honestly, just ask the pet owner. Oh, is your dog friendly? Oh, how can I pet your dog? And just see what they say. And an intelligent pet owner who pays attention to this kind of stuff, you assume, will tell you the best advice. Well, how do you guys think people should approach someone else's random dog when they want to like have good intentions, they want to pet them? And what do you think they should do? I always did the reaching out with the palm facing down and fingers closed.
Like this?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
like this. They can punch me.
Yeah. So like this, like this, like oh look, you have a fist.
You're gonna have to post
Fingers
a
are
picture
pointed
of yourself,
down.
Shadi, so people can
Under-
see what you're doing.
We'll post a picture. I call it the downward fist.
The downward fist. I actually was taught not to do that because it's a direct approach to an animal, which can be threatening. So what I was taught was to kind of
Get down
to their level at an angle, so you're not head on, and then just kind of lean in a little bit and see if they take interest in sniffing you.
Yeah, you're not supposed to make eye contact.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, I mean, this is a whole nother topic, but a lot of people think eye contact is a dominance thing, but an animal that you don't know especially is going to take that as a threat, and you're more likely to get bit in a situation like that.
Yeah.
But I think it just comes down to asking the owner, you know, is your dog friendly? Can I pet it? And they're going to tell you yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
And if they say no, then walk away. Don't push the topic.
There you
My dog is a guard dog, so I don't know what she's going to do. So I prefer they don't touch her. She just wants to sniff you. That's great, but she doesn't like to be touched even by me sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's a devil.
No, she just has a
Poor
big
thing.
attitude to go with her big fur.
That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it.
All right, guys, let's summarize that and use common sense when you're out walking your dog, when you interact with other people's dogs. If you have a small dog that's about to approach a larger dog, just pick your small dog up. Don't be lazy.
Or across the street.
Or across the
Oh, I
street.
can't tell you how many times I crossed the street. I was zigzagging last night. It's awful.
Sorry. It must have to be.
That does sound.
It's
That
annoying.
sounds true. Yeah, I know. So what else have we noticed then that people do out in public with their dogs that kind of annoys us or gets under our skin? What else do people tend to see?
In my complex, I know that people are lazy, and in the morning they just open the door for the dog to use the complex as their entire backyard, do their business, and that's it. But,
Like off leash, just run
Oh,
outside,
yeah.
pee and poop, run back in.
But sometimes they wander because my complex is gated and it's smallish, so there's not a whole lot. You know, you can see the pet mostly anywhere you are in the complex. But when I again come down with my big dog who is picky, it's annoying.
Well, I mean, too, you're lucky that your complex is gated so that those dogs, the main risk they face is another dog.
Yeah.
But I see that actually in the neighborhood where I live with people that live in houses and don't have fenced yards.
I experience that on
And-
walks.
Yeah, and I have almost hit my neighbor's dog like 4 times. And every time I stop my car, I get out, I pick up their dog, I walk to their
Oh my
house,
god.
and I hand them their dog. And
Jesus.
I'm like, are you kidding? I'm like, this is the 3rd time I've almost hit your dog coming out of my driveway. Like, just backing straight out of my driveway.
So you guys gotta use common sense. Like,
Yeah.
like folks, you can't unless you have your own backyard fenced in where you're reasonably sure no other dog is gonna jump in there. Your dog's gonna escape, and even that's not 100% certain. Don't let your dog just run outside to pee and poop without your supervision, without you having a leash on them, because you don't know what's gonna happen out there. And we see this all the time. We see dog fights like this all the time.
Or hit by cars.
Or hit by cars, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, or they get lost, and that's it. Now you're looking for your dog, you know?
Someone thought it was real cute and took it home.
Oh yeah.
Like, these are all pots. I had this cute little cat. It was a purebred Abyssinian. I opened my car door and it had the cutest little collar tag and it jumped on my lap in my car and I was like, closed the door, I was like, okay. But I was responsible. I called the owner and I'm like, your purebred kitten, it was a kitten. I'm like, it's sitting in my lap in my car. And she's like, oh, well, he's white. He's a wildcat. He wants to go outside. And I was like, somebody's going to take him home. She's like, well, he doesn't jump in anyone's car, usually only mine. I'm like, obviously he does. So maybe you want to keep your $1,000 cat inside.
Mm-hmm.
People are
that's just silly.
Don't think about these things because I could have had a free purebred cat.
Oh yeah,
it was so cute,
and you could have bred it to make more.
Oh my God.
Okay, Jay.
I know. And another part to that to letting your dogs just kind of run outside and pee poop. I know most communities you're supposed to pick up their poop as well. And so I don't know if those same people are letting their dog go outside and pee and poop and then run back in the house and then they don't check to see
probably not.
where the dog pooped, and so they're not picking up their feces.
That's actually like where you live. That's the law. Like you get ticketed.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, my old complex had doggy stations.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the city should put up doggy stations.
It was wonderful. Like there was no excuse not to pick up the dog poop.
But people still didn't do it.
Of course.
Yeah.
But then they could find you. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like how do you find out who did this crime?
I actually
23andMe on the poop.
I actually got an email from that complex saying like if you see someone not picking up their dog poop, you can send them a picture and they'll find the person. I'm not joking. Yes.
If you see something. So, okay, so we'll move on to another topic then, under the same category. So, dogs, the owners that go running or hiking with dogs that probably are not made to do so.
Well, I think that's an ignorance issue. I think people get dogs because they're cute or they see them on Instagram or in a movie and they don't do their research.
Research is everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, specifically, brachycephalic breeds you're talking about.
Yeah, so we're in LA, it gets hot here. And these dogs with the squished faces, French bulldogs, Boston Terriers, English bulldogs, these are not the kind of dogs that really handle heat very well on a normal basis. They're made to be adorable and sit in an air-conditioned living room. And when they go for the walks, it's just enough to go pee and poop it, and they go back in the house again. That's all they want. They are not your hiking, running 3 miles with you dogs. They're just not. Their legs can barely function as is, and they're certainly not made to go running with you. If you want a dog to be active with, then do your research. You want those dogs that are made to be, like any kind of retriever. Some terriers. These are dogs that are great for they're high energy dogs. They've got the anatomy to handle that kind of activity. They want to do it with you, and then they won't be medically dangerous. So on the flip side of it, we see dogs overheat a lot. We see these brachycephalic dogs, the ones with the squished-in faces. They've got anatomic abnormalities of the respiratory tract that make them more prone to developing a life-threatening crisis when they are overexerted, especially in areas of heat or humidity. They can't handle it. And so you need to be smart. If you want a certain dog, if you're looking for a dog to accomplish certain tasks or activities with you, you need to do your research and figure out what breeds are made for what tasks.
And I think what some people might say to that is, well, my Frenchie, because Frenchies in particular, wants to do these things, wants to go with me. And I think the problem is that dogs are people pleasers or owner pleasers. Mm-hmm. They're going to put forth that effort. But if you see them and they're, like can't breathe, then it's too much. Mm-hmm. And I think there's different ways to get those breeds' energy out because they do have a lot of energy. Mm-hmm. Besides running, hiking, things like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, play with them inside the house where it's air-conditioned. There's usually smaller breed dogs, so there's lots of room for them. And get their energy out that way, and they'll be very happy, and you won't put them in a life-threatening situation.
And I think it's also important to note that those dogs would probably do well to have a consult with a doctor before doing physical activity.
Yeah.
Because their airways are something that can be pretty easily evaluated, and some of them can have corrective surgery to make it easier for them to breathe. Not that they should go hiking after that, but they can put forth more activity after having such things. And it's not just a dog that looks like it ran into a wall. Some pit bulls and some other breeds
Boxers.
will have these problems too. So if you notice that your dog pants really heavily and makes really loud breathing noises after activity, it might be a dog that should have its airway evaluated. And I have she's probably 60-pound pit bull that does not have a brachiocephalic face, and she had to have her soft palate resected so that she could tolerate hiking.
So do your breed research first, and then secondarily, you go see your general practitioner. Ask your questions. What can my dog do? What can't they do? What can I do to accommodate them to certain activities? And if there's anything that requires some kind of medical or even surgical intervention, obviously hospitals like ours that are 24/7, we do these procedures routinely. We've got 24-hour monitoring, 7 days a week, critical care team, and so we're ready to fix any and all issues that are related to your pet. But just be smart about what breed you are adopting, what medical conditions they may or may not have, and what you actually can do with them realistically and medically. So along the same lines then, dogs in cars, dogs in trucks, dogs in pickup trucks. I know now people have car seats for their dogs. I don't know what they're shaped like. I don't know if are they like
come
people.
Differently. So my dogs don't have car seats because they are enormous and it would be really hilarious. But they have seat belts. So you can get them on Amazon. I think they're like $10. They click onto their collar and into the seat belt thing, so that if you get in a car accident, they don't go through your windshield.
Okay, wow, yeah.
But the little doggies, they get those cute little high-rise chairs.
And you just buy these online, I assume.
Yeah. Amazon or any platform like that. I think pet stores have a few, but they're kind of overpriced in my opinion.
I don't need to look, so I
Yeah. But yeah, if you have a giant dog, they make little seatbelt clips so that they don't go through the windshield. Because I've seen a dog with a broken spinal fracture in a car accident that hit the windshield. Like I've seen that. I think we've all seen dogs in car accidents. They're pretty messed up.
Yeah, absolutely. And besides that, of course, they can be a distraction to you or to other drivers if they're like running around the car or jumping back and forth. Obviously, with the larger dogs, you're going to be limited. The dogs are going to do what they want to do with the car. And then of course the big thing that I just can't stand are the pickup trucks with the dogs in the back. I mean, that's insanity. That's
you
just
don't
insane.
really see that much in LA.
I've seen it a lot in Oregon.
Yeah.
Because there's more of a use, I suppose,
for
trucks. But they have seen countless dogs that jump out and they don't know, and then there's road rash all over the legs, and you have to skin graft or whatever.
Oh yeah, or that dog that jumped out and was attached by a leash and got drugged behind the car.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's awful. Yeah, that's just idiotic. I mean, I get it that pickup trucks, may not be in the main area, may not be that spacious. There's no back seats, or if there are, they're small or what have you. Or if you're using it for construction purposes, there's going to be people in the pickup truck, so dogs got to go somewhere. But boy, that's a scary thing. And it's not like people are driving with these dogs in the back of the pickup truck going 10 to 30 miles an hour. I mean, I've seen them on highways zooming down 70, 80, 90 miles an hour with a dog in the back of the pickup truck. I mean, really, just use your brain. That's insane.
If someone has a truck that has a cab that won't accommodate a big dog, is it okay to put the dog in a crate in the bed of the truck?
I would prefer that for sure. At least you have control, because the dog's contained. I mean, if you get into an accident, that's a different story. But of course, an accident's an accident. You can't predict what's going to happen. But yeah, the idea is that your dog's going to see something or decide, I'm just going to go jump over there now. And you're driving 70 miles an hour on a highway, and your dog jumps out of the car.
So do your research.
Yeah.
Don't just throw them back there and say that.
Yeah, you have to assume worst case scenario. They're dogs, they lead by impulse. They're just going to do whatever they're going to do. And I'm sure there are people out there listening to this that say, my dog's been in the back of my pickup truck for 10 years, never had a problem. Sure, of course. The idea is that what's the risk-benefit ratio here? If all it takes is one leap out of the car, and you're dealing with, at minimum, some soft tissue injuries, some scrapes or whatever. Beyond that, a broken bone, broken spine, or getting hit by a car, and you lose your dog. I mean, it's not worth the risk, because the risk may be small in your particular case, but if that risk were to occur, it's going to mean a lot to you and your dog. So be smart about that. Any other things that you guys notice out in public with people's dogs? What they're doing that?
Hawk pavement
Oh. Mm-hmm.
here, especially.
And so they hurt their paws, the bottom of their paws.
Yeah.
The way you say paws.
Paws. It's the New York. It's the New York accent. How they hurt their paws.
But it's true. So there's different color pavements, which is worth noting. So black versus like the light gray, white. Black's going to be hotter. And I think the rule of thumb is like if you can't hold your hand down on it for 5 seconds, then they can't walk on it.
Oh, okay.
And on those hot days, especially with black pavement, it's insane.
I have carried my dog. I know. Doesn't look like I can.
I'm surprised because you can't lift anything.
Oh, yeah. I have carried my dog from my car to my apartment door.
And plus, it's hilarious with dogs wearing shoes. So maybe you should just do it for fun.
So let's get some advice to people out there then. Let's say their dog is a large breed dog.
Yeah.
They live in a very hot area like Oklahoma. And it gets 110 degrees, right? Or in Vegas, 120. And you're going to walk your dog outside, obviously. What can people do to protect their dog's paws from the heat?
Shoes. Buy some shoes.
What is that?
Shoes.
Oh, shoes.
I was trying to do the paws, but for
Oh,
shoes.
jeez. Oh, listen, leave New York accents to us Americans, okay? It was great. It was great.
Yeah,
Leave your comments below.
shoes are an option, but most dogs don't like to walk in them, so it's really funny. Like, it might be worth just...
They were like those horses that do the dancing.
Yeah. I actually have a video of my dog, Dodger, trying to wear shoes.
I think you told me.
Oh my god, we should find that and we could post it for everyone to watch, because it is hilarious. Yes, he's like one of those show ponies that's like trotting.
Or I find creative ways to...
Yeah, you go in the shade.
Yeah, or if there's a speed bump, we cross on the speed bump instead of the asphalt.
Okay. And then, bare minimum, try to schedule your walks not at the hottest time.
Yeah.
So first thing in the morning, not right at 12 when the sun's highest in the sky.
Yeah. Or this summer, there was a heat wave. It was 120 for 3 days.
Yeah.
And I just did short little
pee-pee walks.
Potty walks. Don't do one long one.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think with doing short walks when it's really hot and then doing your longer walks
at night
and in the morning before it gets super hot is a good way to help.
I'm confused as to why dogs don't seem to react more when they're walking on the hot pavement. They're like, oh, this is hot. Do they actually vocalize or show some sort of sign? How do people know their dog's paws are too hot? If
you watch closely, you'll see a change in their gait. But I think that's something that is at a professional trained level.
So they're maybe more subtle.
Yes. You'll see as they walk, instead of their normal stride, they may kind of do a stilted, get my feet off the floor.
Higher gait.
Yeah. But that's something that a normal owner may not pick up on, and again, dogs want to please their owners. You're telling the dog to walk, it's going to walk.
Yeah.
You tell your dog to walk through fire behind you, it probably will. It's going to walk on the hot pavement. It's going to hike when it can't breathe.
Just grin and bear it. And
then you get back to the house and its paws, the bottom slough off, and they're bandages for months and months.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's a big problem because it may sound like a silly thing. Oh, okay, well, what's going to happen? They get a blister or something. It's bad. They lose the keratinized epithelial layer of the paw pads, and that tissue, that thick tissue that makes up their paw pads, it takes a long time to grow in and be replaced by the same tissue. And of course, they're dogs, right? So they're going to walk on their paws. So you're gonna have them in bandages, and those bandages could be for weeks and weeks and weeks. And you're going to be seeing your veterinarian at least every 10 to 14 days, if not more frequently, to have the bandages changed. So we can't keep the bandages on longer for 10 to 14 days. So it's for one moment of stupidity where it's just too hot, and you say, oh, it's fine, my dog will be fine. It's done it before. The second you burn those paws, you're going to be in for a lot of vet visits, and there's no quick fix for these types of injuries. It takes a long time to get that tissue back.
And I think it's important to note too, because I think we see a lot of sloughing paw pads when people take their dogs hiking when it's really hot too. Yeah. because it's dirt, it's fine, you know, but the rocks and stuff are still really hot, and they can lose their paw pads during that time too. So when it's really hot, because secondarily to the heat stroke problem is the paw pad sloughing problem.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so the dancing horse is called dressage.
Oh, that's what you would do.
So you can watch dog dressage.
We'll post a video
DRESSAGE.
of Lindsay's dog.
Doing the sock dance, the shoe dance.
Well, because they told me that dogs need shoes for snow.
They don't need. Well.
So I went and I tried shoes on him, and I'm like, he's not gonna walk. So he either has no feet because of snow, or he goes potty.
Well, frostbite is a real thing too, right? Animals can get frostbite as well. Tips of their ears, their paws. So that's the tails.
You're a pretty big bear. I was just.
It's not like cold there. Does it get cold?
I'm one of those crazy overprotective owners. There's snow on the floor. He needs shoes. He didn't get shoes. I just got a really good laugh in a video that'll last forever.
Perfect.
Oh, there, normal did.
Well, so if anybody out there has any other things they've noticed, please let me know. We'll be happy to do another segment on this topic. I'm sure there are many more that we've missed, and we can always go through it at a different podcast time. I want to thank you guys so much for listening in. This is Dr. Shadi Ireifej, Chief of Specialty, board certified surgeon, and part owner of TrueCare for Pets in Studio City, Los Angeles, 24/7 emergency and specialty hospital. Thank you so much for listening in, and we'll see you with the next podcast. Bye everybody.